Hello.
Hello.
I just have to. This is so funny to me for so many reasons.
Oh, welcome to the pink
I
couch.
know. And then there were two.
Ah,
Where is Miss World Traveler at this moment? Do we know?
who,
Well,
who
she's
can
in
tell it? Mm-mm.
Florida. Is she in Florida?
Mm-mm. Don't put her business out. You know the people might come after her.
Oh, my bad.
You know.
My bad.
She's big
Anywho,
time now. She's big
yeah,
time. She's big
yeah.
time.
She's big time and doing big time things. So it's just us holding down the fort. How are you, my dear?
Woo! I am so happy to be here with you, but don't look too close because you might see a couple bags underneath the eyes because sleep has not been my friend. But I am here and I am happy to be.
Sleep has not been my friend either.
I wonder why.
I know. Well, I mean, I just got back into town from a red eye from the city by the bay. Yeah, so I know
Town.
all about some sleep deprivation. And I forgot I still continue to send stuff to me as opposed to you. So these will be coming to a theater near you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Um,
so much.
but yeah, talk to me about that sleep deprivation.
Well, first, I have to start with if you don't have some ride or dies in your life, you better go find some. So I just have to give a special love shout out to my girl who I'm looking you in your eyeballs right now. That would be you. That would be you, the girl in yellow. Yellow
Wow,
colors.
I know, right?
Um,
I'm ready.
woo, my twins are giving me a run for my money. And I had last week I called Auntie Robin and I said, Mama's not gonna make it. Mama hasn't slept. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And
Oh,
lo and behold, the very next day, who was ringing my doorbell? Unannounced, unexpected, but Lady Robin herself to come and save, I don't know whose life she saved, mine or theirs. Either way
oh,
it goes, we are all happy for it. So,
listen, those girls are utterly delicious. So it is worth a few days of sleep deprivation. I get a few days of sleep deprivation. You have probably
a
about
season. It's a
18.
season.
It's
It's a season.
18 plus years. My kids have aged out of the house, and there's still some sleep deprivation that happens depending on what's going on.
So I'm
So,
gonna work on you.
oh, my
Those
bad,
when you have your ride and die. Make sure they learn how to give words of encouragement at the
my bad,
appropriate time.
my
Thank you
bad.
so much.
It won't be every night. It'll be every
Just
so
the ones that end in Y.
often. So, okay, so there is so much happening in this world today. Let's get right into what's hot. Let's talk about some hot topics. So, right before we got on air, my son sends me this text, and I was like, we're going to be talking about this on the pink couch. So, Brittany Griner, she is with WNBA. As many of you know, she has been imprisoned in Russia for, wow, how long has it been? Has it been since February, I think, of this year?
It's been a while.
And she pled guilty for having any sort of cannabis in Russia. And today I think she was actually on trial. But also today, it was announced that we, the United States, are going to engage in trade negotiations for Brittany Griner and another American individual who's held over in Russia, for in exchange for the release of I think he was an arms dealer, dealt arms to terrorists who were going to use those against to kill Americans. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that
Mm.
negotiation?
You just wanted to come in hot.
It's
That's
hot,
where you wanted to
hot
start? That's
off
where
the
you wanted to
press,
start? Mm.
hot off the press.
Um, I'll be really honest with you. I have mixed feelings.
Yeah.
So let me start with I think that we should be doing as a country everything in our power to get our citizens out of other countries especially if we know they're being abused, especially if we know that they're being wrongfully detained
Yeah.
or aggressively detained. I
Hmm.
think that's our responsibility.
Hmm.
And we should be advocating for that um, universally and at all costs. So here's where I have my dilemma.
Hmm.
Are Brittany Grimes and this other individual you're talking about the only Americans who are imprisoned in Russia right now?
I don't know.
Exactly, because those are the only ones who have gotten any airtime or publicity. My whole issue is if you're going to do this, you better do it across the board. And
Mhm.
these are them who is being imprisoned in another country that's not Russia,
Right.
right? So, what are we doing for them? Is it because of the notoriety of these people that we're giving them this extra added and they get this oomph? So, hear me well. I think we should be doing everything we can to protect and bring them back home. And the crime, the punishment should fit the crime.
Hmm.
However, it needs to be, yeah, I'm all about equal opportunity, and that's what I'm not feeling in this situation.
Yeah, I can't imagine if I have a family member who's being held captive somewhere, and because they're not a WNBA player or someone who has a celebrity status, I can't imagine how I would feel about that. But probably very similar to how you feel, maybe a little bit more animated about it. But yeah, I mean, I think she should be.
Mhm.
Um, it's unfortunate that she is held captive, and at the same time, it is against the law to have cannabis in your possession in Russia, whether you're rushing or not rushing, huh? Whether it is medicinal or not, which also seems a little. So I didn't know I had it. I was rushing, but it's prescribed by my doctor, so I can have it. It's just I get it. You got to just put on whatever defense you need to. And I don't. I mean, I
Right.
don't want the girl in jail for possessing, a vaping pen with like that much in there. I don't condone that. But that's unfortunately that's there. That's the law there, and it sucks. It really does suck.
Mhm.
So okay. So you know what else happened today?
What else happened today?
The government they
Mm.
raised the interest rates again, like another. I think it's 0.75%. And the government did that today.
Mm. Who did it?
Oh my
Who did
God,
it? Who
the
did it?
government did that today. That is wow. It is. I was had a meeting in Chicago last week, and we were having this conversation. Okay, so what would happen if there's a recession and someone says, "Aren't we already in one?"
Mhm.
Because technically, what is it? How many quarters or of declining um,
Right.
GDP?
Here's the thing, we're not in it at this time per se. We're right dancing, dancing, dancing next to it.
Quack quack.
Right. But here's the thing,
Yeah,
people are feeling the impact of this.
yeah.
We talk about unemployment, right? We talk about unemployment being in an all-time low, and
Mm.
there's such an availability of jobs. And you're seeing that. You're seeing people moving around and getting opportunities. But if you look at how wages are increasing related to other expenses, we are out of whack.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
out of whack.
yeah.
So, yeah, it looks like, we have this flourishing economy. It looks like, things are greater than they've ever been. And in some instances, sure, you can say that. But have you tried to book a flight from the East Coast to the West Coast or the West Coast to the East Coast? We were looking at flights for $800 for one person, one way. Come on. Come
Mm,
on.
mm, mm. Yeah, I just, um, yeah. There's a lot of pain that's happening. As they talk about the same set of groceries that you bought this time last year, or 30, 40, sometimes a little bit more percent higher than last year, and that
Mhm.
just me defies just common sense of all the other positives that are happening. there are still so many out of whack um, areas with the groceries, the pump
Right.
at least coming down, but still it's high. And then yeah, forget about trying to buy a house or a car
You
or a
can't even find a car. You
yeah,
can't find a car right now. And if
man,
you go to a dealership, been there,
yeah,
they could care less about you because of the 3 cars they have on the lot. There are 1,700 people who want those 3 cars.
yeah. Yeah, I need to become friends with Travis Scott and Kylie Jenner and Drake with their private jet status.
Right, 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 right.
Maybe I could, slide them a little $2 bill to let me hitch a ride. But yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy. I just can't. I still feel like I am in a deep coma because the world that we knew pre-COVID. I can't believe we're still having these conversations
Mhm,
of pre-COVID. But the world has just been so different. Obviously, COVID, this health crisis, and people losing their jobs, and now jobs coming back, and now this recession-like object that we're in. That's crazy. It's
mhm.
absolutely crazy.
Well, and I think what grates me is when people are talking about, "Oh, we're going into a recession post-COVID." There is no post-COVID. We
Yeah,
are in it. Surge again.
yeah,
People are losing life.
right.
So, and I get it. People are tired. They're tired of being inside. I had that moment where I realized there were 2 weeks that I did not leave my house. So, is that healthy? Not
No.
saying it is. However, we're a COVID-free household.
There's that. There's that. All right, I'm gonna pivot us into our topic.
Mhm.
All right, so we are talking today about bullying, and it's fascinating. What triggered this topic is Kennedy had a family member, or has a family member, who was experiencing bullying, and she was depressed. She's what, how old? Teenage status age,
Teen.
preteen, something, young,
Mhm.
young. The fascinating part of it, I mean, that's bad enough. Okay. The fascinating part of this is that where the bullying was coming from, so it was, girls her age, mother of one or two of the girls, in the platform of pageantry that is all about positivity and light and community and confidence and mental health. What the what? That makes no sense to me. And this is someone that was very vibrant and vivacious and full of energy, and to be bullied. Is that what are we talking about right now? What are we talking about right now? So that's what that was very real for us. I said, let's have this conversation. And so that was just one of the
Mhm.
catalysts for that. But when we think about, why this topic, bullying has just become so prevalent in our culture. It's like COVID. It is just a part of what is.
So we are right
Like
now.
like mass shootings. Sorry, it's a part of what is. There's cyberbullying, there's relationship bullying, so friends that are no longer friends, the stuff you went through in junior high, high school, college, elementary school, there's relationships, there's workplace bullying, there's all these facets of bullying that exist. And as we were getting ready for this topic, it was interesting to learn all the aspects and nuances of bullying. I had no
Yep.
idea. And because like when you and I were in school, I mean, there was no internet. We just had I don't think we had computers then.
We had computers. Come on now.
Okay. Okay, whatever. Those big ones that,
You
from
know
back
what?
in
Keep
the
going. Keep going. Keep
whatever,
going.
whatever. So, it's interesting that and this is an important topic, and I bet that people will be surprised what bullying looks like. Because as we go through this show, and if you follow us on social media, we have been posting every day for the past month
Mhm.
all the different signs of bullying and forms that bullying can take place, and how it shows up. And one of the things is that it's funny, I read this stat, one in two people. Oh, that's so funny. 100% of
So
people
look,
have
so is
experienced
that me
bullying.
or is that you?
I so
Mm,
before I answer that, as we are going through this conversation today, for those of you who, I want you to recognize this in yourself. I recognize it in myself before we started this topic. I have been a bully in my lifetime and not proud of it. Definitely when I was younger, I was a bully. And it's interesting. So was my son when he was knee
mm,
high. Isn't that funny? Little old Jeray was a little bully. He
not
was.
much,
I
Ray.
know.
That's enough. Don't speak ill
I
of my
know. I
baby.
know. Okay, I know. He's not even here to defend himself, but he barely remembers it. That's how young he was. But we'll get more into that. But the impact of bullying it is life altering, and we'll talk about that as well. But one of the things is that as we are yet unfortunately coming off yet another mass shooting. I think Uvalde happened. There was the 4th of July event that happened.
There
The,
was a supermarket incident.
there have been so many incidents, and there will be more. Sadly, there was the mall incident where there was someone there who stopped it. And it's sad to say only 3 people died. But there's a common thread, at least in some of those, that came back to bullying. So those perpetrators of these mass shootings, a common thread, at least in these recent ones, and I know Columbine because I lived there. I know the theater because my kids went to that was school, the theater that we went to. Bullying is a common denominator for a lot of these mass shootings. Bullying is a common denominator for attempted suicide. Right. I'm gonna let that sit. So let's get in and let's just talk about what's a bully. What's a bully?
So you think about it, and when we started talking about this, I was like, bully. You think of that big mean kid on the playground who was bigger than everybody else and who would make everybody, do whatever they wanted to do, eat dirt, take your lunch money, trip you on the field, right? That's the
Yeah.
the image that you get, and you always think of, your first thought goes to children, youth, what have you, right? But if you think about it, a bully, they come in all shapes and sizes,
Yep.
right? There is not a dictionary definition and a picture pops up where here is what a bully looks like. No, think about it. A bully is a person who habitually, that means all the time, right? They seek to harm or intimidate those who they perceive as being vulnerable.
Hmm.
So think about that. A bully is a coward because a bully, oh, I said it, because a bully, they only go after people who they believe are vulnerable. So the bully wants to capitalize on people who they feel are weak or less than in their eyes. And bullying, you talk about it. Yeah, there's the physical, right? And you think about that, the school bully. But there's verbal bullying,
Hmm.
there's social bullying,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
There's cyberbullying,
Hmm.
and all that can happen on the school ground, or guess what? In the boardroom.
Ooh, I've witnessed that.
Okay.
I've been a
We've all
recipient
witnessed
of
that.
that. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have all witnessed that.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about, bullying that happens with women in corporate America. We're not going to go there right now, but we might touch on it a little bit later. Right. So when you think about it, you think, okay, those are the big things. So I could never do that. I could never be that person. Well, how often are you teasing people,
Mm.
calling them names, nasty looks,
Hmm.
making rude or obnoxious gestures? Guess what? Form of bullying.
Yeah.
What about spreading rumors about someone? That office gossip who, of course, you don't want to tell them their business, but they're the first person you go to hear what the tea is. Why? What's the purpose? That's a bully right there. And
Right.
guess what? You feeding it might make you a bully accomplice. Hmm. Okay. And then, the obvious, you know, physically touching someone, slapping them, restraining them, holding them down. I'm like, really? Huh. And I have a whole heightened sensitivity to this because I have a lot of young people in particular
Mhm.
in my world. And these young people are resilient. However,
Mhm.
um, when you are having people send you texts that say, um, I hate you and I wish you would die because your hair is curly.
Right. Right.
Okay. Think about that.
Right.
You have people you, in the office who are threatening to sabotage you if you don't let them take credit for your work product.
Mhm. Yep.
So, bullying comes in all shapes and forms. Um, and it just makes you wonder, right? It really makes you wonder when you are, and many of us have been, um, raise your hand,
Mhm.
close your eyes so people don't know they're talking about you.
Mhm.
But how many of you have shared an embarrassing picture of somebody online?
You know, I don't do that anymore unless and consciously have made the decision not to do that. I'm not going to like I have done that in the past.
Mhm,
But it's different. There's a difference if there's someone that's inviting you to laugh with them, right? And versus laughing at them. Someone posting
mhm,
something that they're feeling very confident in, they're celebratory, and then we find a way to, oh, look at that. Look at that cellulite. Look at her hair. What's wrong with her makeup?
mhm.
Um, yeah, yeah. And I purposely now I am not immune from a giggle, he, ha, ha. But I have intentionally. I'm not going to like. I'm not going to forward. Those types. I'm just not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that. How about you?
Well, I was going to ask you why.
That's a great question. I stopped doing it. I would say probably about 10 years ago, maybe. Um, and it just became more around this thing around empathy. And when I was witnessing it and the impact of it on other people, um, it just didn't sit well with me. When I had someone that I know say something bad about someone I care about, and I was like, uh, "That's just not okay. That's just not okay. It's
Mhm.
just not okay." And yeah, I'm not going to participate in that. Just not going to do it. You're not going to be able to count me in for that.
Right. Well, I will tell you. So I had a really interesting experience because it hit really close to home. A really, really dear friend, right? And vacations all the time and would post pictures of their vacationing, what have you. And they, they are comfortable and confident in their skin. But people would put these nasty comments and messages on my social media, right? And I'm not even talking about theirs on my social media. And I was like, absolutely no, no, unacceptable. However, the person, it's interesting when you talk about, okay, so how do you deal with a bully, right?
Hmm.
Because that person's comeback was awful. She, the bully missed with the wrong bully. Because they brought it back 500 fold. So I don't necessarily condone that, but I'm also don't dish it if you can't take it.
Right, right. And that's fascinating. I think how that happens. I think that's fascinating. Wait,
Hmm.
did you answer the question? Have you ever bullied?
Is that what you asked me? You know my mama's watching, right?
Uh-huh. I didn't tell my mama to watch.
No, I mean in truth, yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
my family has called me a bully.
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like I'm a bully for good, but I guess that that's my justification for it. But
Bully for good. What is a bully for good?
see, that's because you don't know. I only
Is that a
bully.
Jay-Z? I'm a bully with the Bucks. I mean, what is that? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. When you figure it out, let me know. Let me know.
I'm just saying, I would, in my mind, ultimately, it was for the greater good of the collective, but, I had to check myself.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's pivot to, and hey, Elbug, nice to see you on. So let's talk about, why do people bully? And so what you bully for good? Let's see if you see yourself in any of these. So sometimes people bully because of their stress or trauma. They've experienced
Mhm.
something, and it could be something as parents breaking up a new sibling. It could be any of those things, some sort of trauma, accident, whatever. Um, and there's just a frustration that exists, and it is usually paired with the second reason is around aggressive behaviors. So it's interesting that more than 65% of bullies are guys. And guys are taught to in our society, oh, don't show your emotion, keep it all inside. Cry to man cries on the inside. You don't show that emotion. And often that comes out in aggressive physical behavior.
Right.
And so that stress is just building up, and they haven't been taught, or they haven't been encouraged to express their frustration any other way. Low self-esteem. Now, this one I always find, because I have friends who I would call bullies, um, and um, and I think these friends also have some low self-esteem issues, or some, we all have something that we're
Mhm.
just like, I don't like this particular component of
Mhm.
myself. And when someone finds a way to just to poke at that thing that you just don't really care about for yourself,
Right.
that is so the opposite of cool. And often it's because they are hiding something that they're struggling with. So I
Mhm.
might have so I have envy of your skin, EJ. It is just like smooth as baby booty. And so I might say things like, whatever. It's not it's, whatever. Her skin, I did see a rash once. Whatever. I don't know. I can't even think of anything to say. No, everyone knows your skin is beautiful. But for me to comment on it in a negative light is because I don't, I covet your skin. They've been bullied themselves. So I mentioned earlier, yep, I was a bully. My son was a bully. Wouldn't you like to be a bully? He was a bully when he was younger. I'm gonna say he bullied his sister. I mean, that's, people say that about siblings. But in school, I was getting calls all the time. Oh, he was in a fight with this person. Oh, he did this. And I'm like, my sweet baby boy. And he thankfully aged out of that, completely, and did a 180. But that's often, if there are people who bully, were bullied. And I
Mhm.
was bullied. I was bullied when I was younger. I always wonder where that person is. You know
See,
what? We're Facebook friends. We're Facebook friends. Jive turkey.
that's well, it's funny. My older sister was bullied, and I when we were younger, right? And I just remembered, because my parents were like, "You better take care of your sister at all costs," right? That is the two of you against the world, right? At that point, we were the only ones in the school. And I remember being a little bit thing, and I went to go fight the person who was bullying my sister because I was like, "You will." So I became the mini bully.
That's your bullying for good. That's your bullying for good.
That's my bullying for good.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. I remember when my son was, I don't know, we'll call it 2, 3. I don't know. That he might have been 12. I don't know. And it was a Christmas play, and Jasmine was the camel. Why? Because she was always the tallest in the class. And so she came out last, as the little Christmas play, and everyone just started laughing, like, "Oh, look at the camel." Jeray stood up. he used to suck these two fingers, took his fingers out of his mouth, turned around and said, "You stop laughing at my sister." And he looked at them long, turned around, sat back down.
And put the fingers back.
That was that was. I think he was not an idle bystander. He definitely stood up for his sister, thinking that she was being bullied. But and it was funny. It shut down the play. I mean, everyone was just laughing. It was hilarious. But
Yeah.
I get it. I get that. You got to take care of your people. It's interesting. I was surprised to learn that um, often it's those that are have low access to education. So if you don't have that access to others in the world, and if your TV is stuck on Fox 24/7 or Newsmax 24/7 or conspiracy theorists are us, you start in all the hate and vitriol that is spewed. You don't know any different
Well,
often.
I'm gonna take you a step further. Or if your TV is stuck on Days of Our Lives 24/7 or Wheel
Oh
of Fortune 24/7, there are whole it's not just
yeah.
about the
Well, no, but
political.
low education is one of them. Well, low
Mhm,
access to education is one of them. Absolutely, absolutely. And it's interesting. Even if you have or I would say this didn't come out of the research, but high access to Wi-Fi. So if your internet is strong and you are streaming and thumbing through all
mhm,
the social media, Insta tweets, and all that kind of stuff, I think in your strolling, people say, "Oh, I'm here just for the comments, just to hear what people are saying,"
mhm.
and it's interesting how people think that because I'm a celebrity, that and I live a public life, not me, but I live a public life, that it's okay for you to spew hatred and comment on everything from my decisions, my head to toe, what I'm wearing, that sort of thing. I just unless I just I don't understand that. I don't
Mhm.
understand that just because they're public means you have the right to be mean to them. Doesn't make sense. If they're minding their own self business, there's a difference between like I don't know. I was gonna say Rihanna, but she probably bully people. I don't know. A Rihanna and one of these conspiracy theorists that are actively antagonizing and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Um, anyway,
I mean, it's interesting. We were having a conversation earlier this week. We don't need to say where we stood on the topic, but we were talking about, you know, J Lo and Ben, right? But think about all of the hate. I don't care what your position is on them, right? All the hate that is
oh
spewed
yeah,
on them, on
oh
their
yeah,
relationship, all the opinion on the news
yes,
programming. You are taking me from let's talk about what happened at the Capitol on January 6th to ooh, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck got married and she changed her name. That's our focus. That's what we consider. So think about it. We're cultivating a culture where we're making it okay. Um,
How does that make it okay? Just because you're reporting a social cultural aspect?
because I think because you're opening it up. You're opening it up to say it's okay. I'm bringing you the dialogue. It's a public dialogue. So now weigh in and share your opinions because I've now made it a public dialogue. So now everyone is entitled to have an opinion because we've made it a public dialogue. Because
So,
I can't hold what it is that your thoughts are.
so what about some? There are some celebrities who do not have any social media presence. Their job just happens to be they're an athlete, they're an artist, they're a whatever, whatever, whatever. And the news happens to report, oh, they switched teams. The news happens to report, oh, they got married. Oh, they retired. Oh, they went on their private jet for 14 minutes. It really wasn't even on their jet for 14. So what about those? I mean, J Lo lives her life online,
Mhm.
and there are those who don't. So is it okay so because she's living her life online, she's inviting people in to comment.
So you
Comment.
mistook what I said. You mistook
Okay.
what I said because I didn't talk about. J Lo putting it out there.
Mhm.
I
Right,
talked
right, I
about
understand, I understand.
it became a so media. We live in a society where we believe that it is news, mainstream media news, to talk about every aspect, whether they are in the they choose to be completely in the public light or not. All of these celebrities' lives, their ins and their outs. So
Mhm.
whether it was J Lo or if it's give me somebody who
I don't know.
Denzel. Hi
Mm.
Denzel.
Hey, Dad.
Whether it's J Lo or Denzel, right? Denzel's not put, but we will put everything that he's doing out for public scrutiny. I think back to the incident with Will Smith
Yeah.
at said awards show.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, everything was capitalized and everyone had an opinion. And now we're talking about do I agree and this and that around what Denzel had to say about, with his comment to Will during the show.
Mhm.
That has nothing to do with Denzel, right? Or him putting himself out there. So my point is we have created a society where we make it okay to comment and to share our own opinions about every single aspect of it. And therefore, the sting of it being bullying and it turning toxic gets taken away because we've made it okay.
Got it. Okay. Lord, these bullies. Okay, let's talk about the impact of bullying. So, have you ever been bullied?
Oh yeah.
You wanna
Oh, you want me to talk about it?
uh-huh.
That wasn't part of the agreement. I mean, there are all kind of things. I think I'm a first generation Nigerian girl. So we did things different and did not know that they were different. My hair was different.
Mhm.
My food was different. So I went to school and I was called African booty scratcher. Every time they had something on where they showed the starving children in Ethiopia, I'd have people say, "Ooh, we saw your cousins on TV last night." Right?
Mhm.
So you just think about that in a child's mind and over again.
Mhm.
It makes you want to shrink at
Right.
some points, right? And it also makes you want to turn away from those things that make you who you are. You want those things that they're the vulnerabilities that they're attacking, you want to dispel them so that that they can't go after them. The bullies can't go after them anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. Well, I mean, one of the things you talked about around the shrinking, that the impact of that, and often I think it's like the elementary school, those have some of the highest missed days of school. So the impact, you're delaying learning, there's
Mhm,
retaliation, there's self-harm. We talked about attempts, sometimes successful attempts of suicide. There's the domestic violence that happens. There's homelessness. There's unstable relationships. There's hindrance on being able to be employed. There's obesity. There's bulimia. It runs the gamut. And those aren't just temporary. Those
mhm,
are lifelong situations that are people are internalizing and are triggers for them. And
mhm,
you just start thinking about it, that one little tweet and what that can do to the mind of any human at any grade, at any level, is
mhm,
just crazy. And then even from a workplace perspective, bullying definitely can happen with a supervisor subordinate type of relationship, where I'm withholding a promotion for you, and I'm
mhm,
withholding access to information to make you shine
mhm.
because of whatever reason, and that's money on my pocket.
It's
No.
true. But I'll share and you'll
Yeah.
remember this scenario
Mhm.
because you were aware when it was happening. But you
Mhm.
talked about bullying. I told you about child bullying. Now let's talk about
Mhm.
adult bullying, right?
Mhm.
Now I consider myself a woman of the people. Try me and get tried. However, right, as coming up in my career, and I remember there was an incident where there was a man who was very much in a position of power, and I
Mhm.
was not, and I was easy prey. So I was actually not the person who they were trying to lash out on, but they could lash out on me. So literally, this person sent me the most degrading, berating message, copied a ton of people, including, my at the time boss told me how, I've done all these horrible things and I'm destroying relationships. And because of me, things were going to implode. Now, mind you, when I opened this message, and I'm sharing this because you don't know what state people are in
Mhm.
when that bullying hits you. I
Mhm.
had literally just come out of a funeral and
Mm.
was checking my email, and
Mhm.
that's the email that popped up. So I might have gone a little bit more irrational, in terms of my response because I was heightened emotions. But
Yeah,
the point is, you don't know at
you
that
don't.
point. And that person, it had nothing to do with me, but it was irrelevant because they made me the target.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I definitely have been bullied. I've been bullied in relationships. I've had a couple of boyfriend bullies. Like, oh yeah. Yeah, and the impact it's either shrink or get real big. And both are not necessarily positive.
No.
So,
And I probably one of the best pieces of advice that I got from someone during that time, because I shrunk and then I got mad.
mm,
EJ mad is not a good place to be,
mhm,
right? And
mhm,
so I was like, I'm gonna respond. And I wrote a whole just rip to your core response that was gonna be sent. And the person who I was with, mentor, read it and said, okay, you could send that. You'd be perfectly justified.
mhm.
Um, but is that who you want to become?
Yeah,
And oh, by the way, guess what? That is that person's core, and you will never win at a game where you're not playing your game. You're trying to play their game.
right, right, right. Yeah, there's somebody that's on now that every time that there's something that's happening wants to respond. I'm like, let it go. You are feeding into the bullydom
Mhm.
nature. You are feeding into
Yep.
it. Just let it go. Let it go. Let it go. All right. So let's talk and let's get
Mhm.
real here real quick. So we talked about we are we've had some bully for good.
Mhm.
But
Thank you.
okay, so let's I think there's some opportunity for folks to have some real conversations with themselves and hopefully some others around, are you a bully?
Well, we always talk about it's great to have these conversations, but if there's no so what and no action to the conversations, it was just idle talk. So here is our do something. Here's my question. Are you a bully? And even better still, um, how many times have you bullied this week? Because honestly, for 98.76% of us, my mother's in the exclusionary category. Um, have you cyber bullied, verbally bullied, physically bullied, passive aggressively bullied someone? Oh, you're so pretty to be so chubby.
Mm, mm,
Hmm, right? Think about that. So,
mhm,
guess what? If you are a bully,
mhm,
bullies of the world stand up. Um, Face the mirror, check yourself, and get empathy in your soul. How would you feel if somebody was bullying your loved one? The same thing that you are reflecting on that you've done in the last few days? If someone was doing that to your mother,
ooh,
to you,
take my
to
ears,
your child, to your nieces or nephews,
my baby.
um, how would you feel? What would you do? And my next one is protect those children and the vulnerable, but especially the children. There is so much. That's the cyberbullying is on a level beyond anything we could imagine. the things that are going through in the classroom, because all these kids have cell phones in the classrooms and the things that are going back and forth. um, Protect your kids, help them, be open to having the conversation, and don't always be quick to act. Be quick to listen and go back to empathy. Get that in your soul. Number two, if you observe it or become aware of it, you see it, you need to not only say something, but do something. Don't just sit idly by, because guess what? You sit idly by, you're an accomplice.
Mm-hmm.
Marinate on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now for those of us, and there, 16 of you out there who this does not apply to, who have, if you have ever been bullied, if you're being bullied at this moment, either in the office, in a relationship, at work, and that could be a relationship, a romantic relationship, it could be a relationship with your girlfriend, boyfriend, what have you. Um, you're not alone. You are not alone. You are not the only person who this is happening to. And you can, and you will overcome it, get past it, and be okay. Um, Hear me and hear me well. It is not about you. There is nothing wrong with you. You didn't do anything. You didn't say the wrong thing. You didn't accidentally piss somebody off. Um, it's about them. The issue is them. The issue is control. The issue is power. And the issue is cowardice. So know that. Guess what? Um, you're not alone. So don't isolate yourself. Talk to somebody. Talk to a friend. Talk to a help counselor. Talk to who you need to talk to. But do not feel like you have to go through this alone and hold it in. Um, and you can always say stop. It may not be comfortable. It may not be the comfortable option for you, but you have options and you can say enough, enough.
Yeah.
So, again, check yourself if you are a bully. If you observe bullying, do something about it. And if you've been bullied, um, know that you are not alone. And if you have nobody else, reach out to us and we'll talk to you.
There's that. Awesome. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna bring us home.
Bring us home, Mama.
Bring
Bring
us
us
home.
home.
Now, Kennedy, wherever you are out there, we miss you. And I think Lonnie might have thrown himself in there to watch yourself. So you can call 1-800, go get him, Lonnie. He'll take care
Thank
of
you,
the
Uncle Lonnie.
um, one of the things I'll say is to recognize when you're having that conversation with yourself in the mirror. We might not be able to know what bullying is. Again, go on our any of our social media. You'll be able to see we posted every day for like the past month all the different examples of what bullying looks like. And it could be things around what you might think is teasing, but the other person is not laughing. If you are holding a power position and know it and are using that to your advantage, that also might be a bully situation. And so, it's just in this day and age, this is all about personal accountability. And so I'm definitely going to take some and one, continue to watch what I say, do, as well as when I see it happening with those friends and family that I know engage in bully like behavior, I'm going to be calling it out. So be aware for that. Uh, so one thing I will say, two things I'll say before we get out of here. Make sure you are following us on the Pink Couch. I think next time we're gonna attempt an Instagram live. I think I figured out how to do it. I know. I'm sorry, Instagram, aka TikTok, because yeah, they're not Instagram no more. I guess apparently. And then our second thing and last thing I'll say is our August topic. Three letters, but one very impactful conversation. MEN. Girls, what's my
Mm,
weakness?
man,
So we are going to talk about them. But why? Yeah, your eyes stayed a little bit too long on the roll
I
eye.
got a flashback. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back.
So join us in August. We'll get a date soon. We got to confer with our girl who is missing, Kennedy. Wish you well, safe travels wherever you are. Thank you guys for tuning in and catch us next time as we talk about those boys. Roll that beautiful bean footage.